California. The name alone brings up images of sunny beaches, Hollywood stars, and Silicon Valley tech. It's a global powerhouse, a place that sets trends for the rest of the world. But how did this modern-day Eden come to be? The real story is a lot more complex, more dramatic, and often more brutal than you might think. To really understand the California of today, we have to travel back in time way before the gold, the movies, or the freeways to the very beginning. Long before any European ships dotted the coastline, the land we call California was one of the most vibrant and populated places in all of North America. For at least 13,000 years, this region was a rich tapestry of different cultures and languages. People like the Miwok, the Maidu, and the Nisenan didn't just survive here. They thrived, adapting to every landscape imaginable, from foggy coasts to scorching deserts. These weren't just a handful of tribes. We're talking about hundreds of unique societies, each with its own traditions, complex economies, and a deep spiritual bond with the land. It was a world unto itself, an ancient and intricate society that had existed for millennia before the first outsiders appeared on the horizon. So, where did the name California even come from? Believe it or not, it comes from a fantasy novel. In the early 1500s, Spanish explorers were obsessed with a popular book, Las Sergas de Esplandian, which described a mythical island paradise filled with gold and ruled by a warrior queen named Calafia. Sailing up the coast, they thought they'd found it. In 1542, an explorer named Juan Rodriguez Cabrillo officially charted the coast and claimed the territory for Spain. This single act set in motion a chain of events that would change everything. And yet, for over 200 years, Spain's claim was mostly on paper. California was just a remote, mysterious frontier on the edge of their empire, its future still very much unwritten. It wasn't until 1769 that Spain got serious about settling California. They had two main goals: convert the native people to Christianity and block other colonial powers like Russia and Britain from moving in. Their solution, the California mission system. Over the next 50 years, they built a chain of 21 missions along the coast from San Diego to Sonoma, connected by a rough road called El Camino Real, along with military forts, or presidios, and small civilian towns, or pueblos like Los Angeles and San Jose. These missions became the heart of Spanish power. But the legacy of the missions is a painful one. The Franciscan friars who ran them believed they were offering salvation, but for the native peoples, their arrival was a catastrophe. European diseases, which the indigenous population had no immunity to, were devastating. Their traditional way of life was systematically taken apart, and anyone who resisted was often met with brutal force. The mission system, built to save souls, ended up shattering California's first civilizations. Then, in 1821, Mexico won its independence from Spain, and California suddenly became a remote province of a brand new nation. One of the first big changes under Mexican rule was the secularization of the missions in the 1830s. The mission lands were broken up and handed out as huge grants to politically connected Hispanic settlers who became known as the Californios. This created a new class of wealthy rancheros who ruled over vast estates, while the missions crumbled into ruin and the displaced native peoples were exploited once again. This whole period was pretty unstable. California was so far from the center of power in Mexico City that it was often left to govern itself. At one point in 1836, it even declared independence for a short time. This isolation, combined with a growing number of American settlers pouring in over land, was a recipe for conflict. It all came to a head in 1846 with the Bear Flag Revolt, when a small group of American settlers in Sonoma declared the California Republic. It was a nation that lasted less than a month before the U.S. military showed up. The Bear Flag Revolt was just the opening act for the much larger Mexican-American War. The war ended in 1848, and Mexico was forced to give up a massive chunk of its territory, including California, to the United States. And then, in an incredible twist of fate, just 9 days before the treaty was signed, a man named James Marshall spotted something shiny in a stream near Coloma. It was gold. The news started as a rumor, then a whisper, and then an absolute roar. The California Gold Rush was on. Hundreds of thousands of prospectors, the 49ers, came from every corner of the planet, all dreaming of striking it rich. The population exploded. San Francisco went from a sleepy village to a chaotic, sprawling city almost overnight. This tidal wave of new arrivals completely swept away the old California society and brought even more violence and hardship to the remaining indigenous communities. The gold rush was like a force of nature, cramming decades of change into just a few wild years. The population boom was so fast and so huge that California skipped the normal process of becoming a territory. On September 9, 1850, as part of a major national deal called the Compromise of 1850, California was admitted to the Union as the 31st state a free state with no slavery. With statehood, California wasn't the wild frontier anymore. It was a vital piece of a rapidly growing country. The single biggest game changer was the Transcontinental Railroad, completed in 1869. It physically stitched California to the rest of the nation, cutting the journey from the East Coast from months down to about a week. The floodgates were officially open for people and business. This is when California's foundational industries really took off. The massive Central Valley was transformed into one of the most productive farming regions on Earth. Down in Southern California, the discovery of huge oil fields sparked another boom, turning Los Angeles into an industrial hub. And around this same time, a new and quirky industry, drawn by the constant sunshine and amazing scenery, started setting up shop in a little suburb of LA called Hollywood. The 20th century is what truly turned California into the giant it is today. World War II was the pivot point. The state became the nerve center for the war in the Pacific. Shipyards in the Bay Area and aircraft factories in Southern California ran 24/7, cranking out a huge percentage of America's war supplies. This wartime boom acted like a second gold rush, pulling millions of people to the state for work and changing its culture forever. The post-war years were a whirlwind of prosperity and growth. GIS came home, families grew, and suburbs sprawled out, all connected by a brand new freeway system. This boom also sparked a new kind of gold rush. In the Santa Clara Valley, a perfect storm of defense industry money, world-class universities like Stanford, and an unstoppable entrepreneurial spirit gave birth to the semiconductor industry. The Valley of Heart's Delight, once filled with orchards, became the high-tech capital of the world, Silicon Valley. Of course, this era of incredible growth was also a time of massive social change. California was the stage for some of America's most important movements, from the farm worker strikes led by Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta to the free speech movement at UC Berkeley. But this progress has always come with challenges. The state's story has been one long, epic struggle over its most vital resource, water, leading to what they call the water wars. From the gold rush to the tech rush, California's story is one of constant, radical change. What part of its history blows your mind the most? Let us know in the comments. And if you want more deep dives into the stories that shaped our world, make sure you subscribe. Today, California is a land of incredible contrasts. It's one of the biggest economies on the planet, a global center for tech, entertainment, and food. But it's also a place still dealing with its complicated past, facing huge environmental hurdles, and struggling with deep social inequalities. The story of California is really the story of the American dream in all of its beautiful, messy, and contradictory glory. It's a place of endless reinvention where people from all over the globe have come searching for gold, for land, for fame, or just for a new beginning. It's a dramatic, turbulent, and captivating epic that's still being written.